Hello everyone, I Devesh Jaswal. Welcome to my lecture on AC voltage controllers, second part. In this lecture, I will deal with the phase angle control of AC voltage controller, which is the part of AC voltage controllers. So now let us start. These are the contents which is to be discussed. First one will be principle of phase control, second configuration of AC voltage controller, third one is the single phase voltage controller with R load, and at last single phase voltage controller with RL load is to be discussed. Now let us start the principle of phase control. The basic philosophy of phase control in single phase voltage controllers is similar to phase control rectifier. Here the switching device is so operated that load gets connected to AC source for a part of each half cycle of the input voltage. Here there are two configurations. First one is single phase half wave AC voltage controller, and second single phase full wave AC voltage controller. The single phase half wave AC voltage controller consists of one thyristor in anti-parallel with one diode. This circuit configuration is called single phase half wave voltage controller. When the SCR is forward biased during positive half cycle, then it is turned on by firing angle alpha. The load voltage at firing angle alpha jumps to Vm sin alpha, and also load current becomes Vm by R sin alpha. The thyristor gets turned off at omega t is equal to pi for this resistive load. After omega t is equal to pi, the negative half cycle forward biases the diode D1. Therefore, D1 conducts from omega t is equal to pi to 2 pi. Here it is noted that only positive half cycle can be controlled and negative half cycle cannot be controlled. So single phase half wave voltage controller is called single phase unidirectional voltage controller. In this figure it is shown that positive half cycle is not identical with negative half cycle for both voltage and current waveform. Therefore, DC component is introduced in supply and load circuit, which is undesirable. Now the RMS value of output voltage can be calculated from the output voltage of waveform. We get under root of Vm by 2 1 upon pi 2 pi minus alpha sine 2 alpha upon 2, and also the average value of output voltage also can be calculated from the waveform, which is given by V naught is equal to Vm upon 2 pi cos alpha minus alpha. That means this is the DC value of output voltage, and this one is the RMS value of the output voltage for a single phase half wave AC voltage controller. Now let us see the single phase full wave AC voltage controller. This circuit consists of two SCRs connected in anti-parallel. During positive half cycle, T1 is triggered at firing angle alpha. Then it conducts from omega t is equal to alpha to pi for this resistive load, and during negative half cycle T2 is triggered at omega t is equal to pi plus alpha. Then it conducts from pi plus alpha to 2 pi. In this figure, the positive half cycle is identical to negative half cycle for both voltage and current waveform. Here we see that there is no DC component in the supply and load circuit. Therefore, this circuit is more suitable to the practical circuit than single phase half wave circuit. That is why it is called single phase bidirectional voltage controller. Now, when we calculate the RMS value of the AC voltage controller, here after finding out the value, the RMS value is given by Vm by root 2 under root of 1 upon pi in bracket pi minus alpha plus sine 2 alpha upon 2, and average value of output voltage becomes 0. Now let us see the advantages and disadvantages of single phase half wave and full wave AC voltage controller. In case of single phase half wave AC voltage controller, there is only one SCR, so control is very simple. Disadvantage is that the output voltage is not controlled fully because negative half cycle is uncontrolled due to presence of diode D1. So this one is the first disadvantage. And second disadvantage is that the supply current, output current and output voltage have DC component. This is a problem for inductive loads which may get saturated. So these are the disadvantages of AC voltage controller, and where it is used due to DC components in the output current and voltage, this is basically used for heating and lighting applications. Now move to next slide. Now the advantage of single phase full wave AC voltage controller: the input output current and voltages are symmetrical, so there is no DC component. First advantage, there is no DC component, and second is that transformers and motors saturation problems are absent. But it has only one disadvantage, is that the control circuit is little complex. So this type of voltage controller is used for induction motor, pumps, fans, etc. Now let us see the configuration of AC voltage controller. Here we see that there are 4 possible configuration of single phase AC voltage controller. In the first configuration, we see that there are 2 SCRs T1 and T2 connected in anti-parallel. The trigger source for 2 thyristor must be isolated from one another. Otherwise, 2 cathodes would be connected together and 2 thyristor would be out of circuit. So no control of output voltage would be possible. In the second configuration, we see that there are 2 SCR and 2 diodes. The thyristor T1 D1 conduct during positive half cycle, and thyristor T2 D2 conduct for negative half cycle. As the 2 devices conduct at the same time, so there are some conduction losses will occur which reduces the efficiency of the circuit. Now let us see the third configuration, which consists of 4 diode and 1 thyristor. for this circuit there is no need for any isolation between control and power circuit. Therefore this scheme offers cheap AC voltage controllers. The voltage drop in the three conducting device, that is diode, thyristor and diode, will be more. So in this scheme the efficiency will be low. Now next configuration includes a triac. In this configuration a triac is used, and therefore this configuration is suitable for low power applications where the load is resistive or it may have a small inductance. The triggering circuit for the triac need not be isolated from power circuit. Now let us see the single phase voltage controller with resistive load. Here we see that this is the circuit diagram of single phase voltage controller, where the T1 and T2 two thyristors connected in anti-parallel. The single phase voltage controller feeding the power to resistive load R. Here we see that there are various waveforms of this controller. First one is waveform of supply voltage, second IG1 waveform which shows the triggering pulse for thyristor T1, IGT2 is the triggering pulse for thyristor T2, V0 is the output voltage across resistive load, I0 is the output current and IS is the source current, VT1 is the voltage across thyristor T1 which is shown here, and VT2 is the voltage across thyristor T2 which is also shown here. In figure we see that in positive half cycle T1 will be forward biased and in negative half cycle T2 will be forward biased. Therefore during positive half cycle T1 is triggered at omega t is equal to alpha firing angle. So T1 starts conducting and source voltage apply to the load from alpha to pi. At pi both V0 and I0 falls to 0, and after just pi T1 is subjected to reverse biased. Therefore it becomes turned off. During negative half cycle T2 is triggered at pi plus alpha. So T2 conducts from pi plus alpha to 2 pi, and after 2 pi T2 is subjected to reverse biased. So it is commutated. Here we see that the load voltage and source voltage have same waveform because both are connected in series. From 0 to alpha T1 is forward biased, so the voltage across thyristor T1 will be equal to Vs during 0 to alpha. From alpha T1 conducts, so voltage across T1 is about to 1 volt, which is the internal voltage drop across T1. After pi T1 is reverse biased by source voltage, therefore voltage across T1 will be equal to Vs from pi to pi plus alpha. From pi plus alpha to 2 pi T2 conducts, Therefore, T1 is reverse biased by voltage drop across T2, which is about to 1 to 1.5 volt. So, voltage drop across T1 and T2 T1 and T2 will be very low value. Similarly, we can draw the voltage across thyristor T2. Now, when we calculate the RMS value of the output voltage, we find the V0R or V0R is equal to under root of 1 upon 2 pi integration of alpha to pi Vm square sin square omega t d omega t. This equation comes from the waveform of output voltage. By solving this RMS value, we finally get the Vm by root 2 under root of 1 upon pi minus alpha plus half of sin 2 alpha. And also the RMS value of output current for resistive load will be equal to RMS value of output voltage divided by resistance R. Now from the waveform we see that the output quantities, that is output voltage V0 and output current I0 and also the input current Is are non-sinusoidal. Therefore, these waveforms can be described by a Fourier series. As a positive and negative half cycles are identical, so DC component and even harmonics are absent. So the output voltage V0 can be represented by a Fourier series, which is given by the equation V0 is equal to summation of odd terms 1 3 5 dash 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 to infinite an cos n omega t plus bn sin n omega t, where an is given by 2 upon pi integration of 0 to pi v0 omega t cos n omega t d omega t, and bn is equal to 2 upon pi 0 to pi v0 omega t d n omega t d omega t. The load voltage v0 during first half cycle will be v0 is equal to vm sin omega t when omega t is between alpha to pi. Now an can be calculated by putting v0 omega t here. So an is equal to 2 upon vm pi upon pi alpha to pi sin omega t cos n omega t d omega t. By solving this, we get the an is equal to vm upon pi in bracket cos n plus alpha n plus 1 into alpha minus 1 upon n plus 1 minus cos n minus 1 alpha minus 1 upon n minus 1. And also bn can be found from putting this value v0. So bn is equal to vm upon 2 pi sin n plus 1 into alpha upon n plus 1 minus sin n minus 1 into alpha upon n minus 1. Here Vm is equal to root 2 Vs, and Vs is the RMS value of the source voltage. So the amplitude of nth harmonic output voltage is the VNF, and phase phi n is phi n. Then Vnm is equal to under root of an square plus bn square, and also phi n is equal to tan inverse en upon bn. From this relation we can calculate the value of nth harmonic output voltage and its phase phi n. And also the nth harmonic load current is given by INM is equal to INM upon R. If the n is equal to 1, that is for fundamental value, the value of A1 can be calculated by putting n is equal to 1, and also for B1 which is calculated here. So A1 is equal to Vm upon pi cos 2 alpha minus 1 upon 2, and B1 is equal to Vm upon pi in bracket sin 2 alpha upon 2 plus pi minus alpha. After that, peak value of fundamental frequency voltage can be calculated, which is given by V1m is equal to under root of A1 square plus B1m square, because we have already find A1 and B1, so this value is put here, so we get V1m. Similarly, I1m means fundamental peak value of current can be found by dividing I1m from R. Similarly, fundamental component of phase can be found. Phi 1 is equal to tan inverse A1 upon B1 is equal to tan inverse cos 2 alpha minus 1 divided by sin 2 alpha plus 2 pi minus alpha. Now the average power P delivered to the load of resistance R will be I not R square into R. This is the RMS value of output current. So finally we get the power V naught square upon pi R pi minus alpha plus half of sin 2 alpha from this equation. The maximum value P max can be calculated when alpha is equal to 0. Therefore, maximum value of power will be Vh square upon R. When we divide average power upon maximum power, then we get the per unit power, which is given by the relation this. In terms of harmonic component, power will be equal to R into fundamental component of current I naught is 1 square plus third harmonic component I naught 3 square plus fifth harmonic component I0 5 square and dash dash dash, means odd number of harmonics. So P is equal to 1 upon R V naught 1 square plus V naught 3 square plus V naught 5 square and dash 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 in terms of voltage. Now the power factor will be equal to real power and upon apparent power. Therefore, real power will be equal to Vs upon I1 cos phi 1. I1 is the fundamental component of current, phi 1 is the fundamental component of phase. So apparent power will be equal to Vs upon I RMS 1. Therefore, power factor will be I1 cos phi 1 upon I RMS, where I1 is the RMS value of fundamental component, which is given by I1m upon root 2, and IRMS is equal to RMS value of load or source current, and phi 1 is a phase angle between Vs and fundamental current component of current. Another expression for power factor can also be obtained as follows. So real power delivered to the load is equal to V naught square by R. So apparent power delivered to the load is equal to Vs upon IRMS. Therefore, power factor will be equal to V naught square by R upon Vs into V naught R by R. So finally we get the power factor is equal to V naught R upon Vs. By putting the value of V naught R upon Vs, finally we get the power factor by this equation 1 upon pi under root of pi minus alpha plus half of sin 2 alpha. This shows the per unit power. So under root of per unit power will be power factor. Now let us see the single phase voltage controller with RL load, that is inductive load. Again here we see that this circuit shows the single phase voltage controller with inductive load. Here we see that the various waveforms for inductive load. This waveform is drawn for firing angle greater than phi. Phi is the phase angle between, this is a phase angle between voltage and current, whereas this waveform shows the output voltage and output current for alpha less than phi, that is firing angle will be less than or equal to phase angle. For this waveform we see that during 0 to pi T1 is forward biased. At omega t is equal to alpha, T1 is triggered and I naught, that will be equal to current flowing through thyristor, starts flowing through the load. At pi the load and source voltage goes to 0, but current does not goes to 0 because of the presence of this inductance L. At beta, which is greater than pi, load current reduces to 0. This beta is called extinction angle. After pi, T1 is reverse biased but does not turn off because I naught is not 0. At beta only I naught is 0. So T1 is turned off because it is already reverse biased. After the commutation of T1 at beta, a voltage of magnitude Vm sin beta at once appears as a reverse bias across T1 and as a reverse bias across T2. So from beta to pi plus alpha, no current exists in the power circuit. Therefore V naught is equal to 0, Vt1 is equal to minus Vs, and Vt2 is equal to plus Vs. Therefore thyristor T2 is turned on at pi plus alpha, which is greater than beta. The current I naught, that will be equal to current flowing through thyristor T2, starts flowing in reverse direction through the load. At 2 pi, Vs and V naught are 0, but thyristor current IT2, that will be equal to load current, is not 0. At pi plus alpha plus gamma, the current IT2 is equal to 0. Gamma is equal to beta minus alpha. Then T2 is turned off because it is already reverse biased. At pi plus alpha plus gamma, Vm sin pi plus alpha plus gamma appears as a forward bias across T1 and as a reverse bias across T2. From pi plus alpha plus gamma to 2 pi plus alpha, no current exists in the power circuit. As before, V naught is equal to 0, Vt1 is equal to positive value of source voltage Vs, and Vt2 is equal to minus of Vs. At 2 pi plus alpha, T1 is turned on and current starts flowing as before. When T1 conducts, voltage drop across it appears as a reverse bias across T2. Similarly, when T2 conducts, Vt2 appears as a reverse bias across T1. Therefore, from the waveform, we see that the waveform Vt2 is obtained after inverting the waveform of Vt1. The waveform Vt1 shows that the T1 is reverse biased for pi radian. Same is true for thyristor T2. Now let us see the case when alpha is less than equal to phase angle phi. Here we assume that AC voltage controller is working under steady state with alpha is equal to phi. From 0 to phi, T2 conducts, and from phi to pi plus phi, T1 conducts. From pi plus phi to 2 pi plus phi, T2 conducts, and so on. When T2 conducts, T1 is reverse biased by voltage drop in T2. Similarly, when T1 conducts, T2 is reverse biased by voltage drop in T1. Now, let the firing angle alpha is made less than phi. When T1 is triggered at alpha less than phase angle, then T1 will not get turned on because it is reverse biased by voltage drop in T2, which is already conducting. T1 will get turned on only at phi when current through thyristor T2 is equal to 0 and reverse bias due to voltage drop in T2 vanishes. When T1 will conduct from 0 to pi plus phi, T2 will be triggered at an angle pi plus alpha, which is less than pi plus phi. As T1 is conducting, a voltage drop in T1 will apply a reverse bias across T2. As a result, T2 will not get turned on at pi plus alpha, but only at pi plus phi when current flowing through thyristor T1 is equal to 0. Now, T2 will conduct from pi plus phi to 2 pi plus phi and so on. This shows that load voltage and load current waveforms will not change from what these are at alpha is equal to phi. Therefore, reduction of alpha below phi is not able to control the load voltage and load current. So AC voltage power can be controlled only when alpha greater than phi. Here it is noted that for alpha less than phi or equal to phi, gamma remains equal to pi. Gamma is the beta minus alpha. Therefore, control range of firing angle in phase control AC voltage controller is between phi to 180 degree. Thank you so much for watching this video. Kindly subscribe my channel for getting the next video lecture. Thank you.